the real star of the show, Dennis Gates, who is the Cleveland State basketball coach, who's going to bring a national championship to Cleveland State. I don't know, next 2-3 years. Dave, what do you think, first of all, before we ask
No pressure at all. Yeah, it's good to go.
All right, and if not, you can coach the Browns. They named a new coach, and you can help him.
Hey, I'll stay in my wheelhouse, but I appreciate the compliment.
Welcome to Cleveland.
Thanks for having me.
You haven't seen the bad weather yet, so good luck with that.
I heard I've been spoiled.
So what brings you to Cleveland State?
Well, what brings me is obviously I owe this journey to the educators and my coaches who helped raise me. And when I say that, they saw the leadership in me at an early age as I was going through the ranks of elementary basketball, AAU basketball, and obviously college. But there's no doubt about it. I'm here for the opportunity that's presented. And President Sands and Scott Garrett, during that process of trying to see if this was a great fit, they made it clear that it was a great fit for me by highlighting the things and the vision of the university.
Yeah, I saw when you were introduced to the media and to the Cleveland State boosters, and couldn't have come off better that day.
Well, it was very emotional. It was an emotional day, emotional press conference. But it's almost one of those things where you have so much going on at that little time, and you're trying to make sure you thank everybody. But I just know, me being there, thanked people in general who helped me get to that point.
Well, Coach Hamilton was there with
yes,
you. That was really nice.
Yes. Coach Hamilton was an unbelievable mentor for me. He actually gave me an opportunity as a graduate assistant, but also one that taught me how to really, dissect, I would say, the balance of being a husband, being a coach, and, being successful at it.
When you looked at Cleveland State, were you familiar at all with Cleveland State and the Horizon League? You came from Florida State. We haven't mentioned we've mentioned Coach Hamilton.
Yeah.
You were an assistant at Florida State. What about someone says, hey, Cleveland State has an opening. They're interested in you.
And it's late, by the way.
What's the process?
Well, I'll tell you the process. The process is a couple things. Obviously, the leadership, as I spoke about in President Sands and Scott Garrett. The other part of it is the conference. Is it a conference that is leaning toward or is about basketball? And essentially, those are the things that I was looking for. And the other part of it is it in a great location? Obviously, the location means you have a recruiting territory, you have relationships, and possibly an unbelievable basketball grassroots system. And that was very important because the greater Cleveland, Ohio area has great basketball and has in the past.
Yeah, I told you before the show that I've done Cleveland State radio or TV for 23, 24 years. And so I've seen the ups and I've seen the downs of it. But I think the most impressive thing is when I saw Coach Hamilton there for you, if he signed off on you coming here, this must have been a good deal for everybody concerned.
Yeah, Coach Ham, in my eyes, Coach Hamilton is a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's constructed a lot of programs in his past. Obviously, he was the first African-American associate head coach in the SEC at Kentucky. And he was Joe B. Hall's assistant coach and associate head coach. But the thing, you look at his path, he helped started Oklahoma State program before it was, spent years and years not making the NCAA tournament. And then his second job was at Miami, who at the time was an independent school. They didn't have a conference, and where he left that program in addition to where he left Oklahoma State. And obviously we see what he's doing now at Florida State in one of the best basketball conferences ever assembled. And he is a Hall of Famer, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the things that he's done.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, you mentioned one before in John-McClendon.
Yes.
Who was Cleveland State. Actually, it might have been Fenn College at that point.
Fenn College, yep.
Yeah, I believe it was. He also coached the Cleveland Pipers, which was an interesting team. What did you know about him growing up? Was that a role model you had aspired to?
Well, like I said, one of my mentors obviously is Leonard-Hamilton. The other is George-Raveling. George-Raveling, he's done an unbelievable job during his tenure as a head coach in the Pac-10 with Washington State and obviously at Iowa and different places. But you look at what he's done in terms of being able to build sort of the bridges from generation to generation, and that was one of the African-American head coaches that George-Raveling looked up to, and obviously Leonard-Hamilton looked up to George-Raveling and John Thompson and John Chaney, and at this point the torch is with Leonard-Hamilton, and as it relates to mentoring, he's done a great job, and obviously educating myself on a John-McClendon. Who doesn't know Dr. James Naismith and what he's done? He invented the game, and to know that John-McClendon was a student and also a guy that worked side by side with James Naismith at the University of Kansas in Lawrence speaks volumes to the connection of the growth of basketball and also the connection that Cleveland has to another Hall of Fame coach.
Who's responsible for saying, let's get that peach basket down and put a regular basket, and you don't have to get on a ladder every time you score a basket?
Hey, whatever the evolution of it was, they owe credit.
Yeah. What did you think when you probably saw pictures of it or tape of it, when you saw the Wolstein Center, that this is the place your home games will be played? Now, they had sold it out back in the day, but it's just this beautiful thing there, ready for people to come in and watch basketball.
Well, it's a great basketball city, first of all. It's a great sports town, and I truly believe it echoes what the fan base screams, and it makes a hostile environment. I think there's a picture of Cleveland State versus Butler in my office, and that was a time when it was screaming. It was screaming in there, and there's footage that I watched before I took the job. I just watched old film of the Wolstein Center and the environment of when this job was at its height and the crowd support, and that's very important to have a support base in place already, and it was unbelievable.
My guess is, had you waited, there would have been other opportunities. So what made you want to go get it right now?
Well, I've turned down opportunities, believe it or not. But you look at the big picture of being aligned with a first-year president in Harlan Sands and a first-year AD in Scott Garrett, and it's almost like you're walking your path together. And to be able to be in a situation where sometimes those careers don't align, you either have a president retiring or AD retiring or changing jobs, but not all three guys just starting and trying to push the envelope a little bit and build a program. And I felt that charge over any because it's directly tied to the institution and how the institution can also grow.